Hey everybody, welcome back for another video. Today, we're going to be talking about the castles in the sky with a focus once again on New York City, Upper Manhattan, because there's a general area that is very close to the Hudson River that features a lot of really impressive architecture that I think is quite a bit older than we're being told. So I want to look at some of these things, should be interesting. Let's get into it. Now, the first structure I want to focus in on is this castle featured here top left, and it's called Paterno's Castle, and this is an image from 1935. But this castle and its Gothic stylings, we're told it was completed, again, 1916, but it was demolished in 1938, so 22 years it stuck around, we're told, before they demolished it. And I should mention, before they demolished it, the owner of this structure, Charles Paterno, commissioned this book to be written in the early 1930s, so just a few years before it was demolished. This book was published called The Castle, and it features a lot of images from the interior and exterior of the castle, but just a really interesting structure in the Gothic variety that I believe is much older than we're being told. And we're going to start moving north here and feature several structures, and I'll show you kind of why I think these are older. But there are some remnants of this Paterno Castle, such as this wall, and you could just tell this looks much older than a lot of what's around it. And I think there were a couple of columns that still exist from the original castle as well, and this is one of them. So again, looks very old to me. Now, moving north, I wanted to point out there's this subway station on 190th Street. But when you look at it, once again, it looks very similar as far as the aging goes to the castle to me and the remnants of it. The entrance to this subway station on 190th Street. And I believe, in my opinion, there was a larger structure here, and it is being used as part of the subway station. Now, I know that's not the official explanation, but that's my suspicions. And just another shot of this subway station. And again, I think the entrance, or part of it anyway, I think this might be from a much earlier structure pre-existing. Now, moving north from there, there was this lost mansion, the Lost Billings Mansion, and a part of it still exists, this arcade. And I believe this particular lost mansion, it resides in this park that's called Fort Tryon Park. But it's my opinion that this mansion, which unfortunately, surprise, burned down in 1926. It's my opinion that this mansion is newer. I don't know how old it is, but it's sitting on top, I believe, of this older phase, this older period. This phase that we're looking at that's underneath the mansion, I think it existed about the same time as that earlier castle, Paterno Castle. But here's this arcade we're going to take a look at, and it looks like there's been some modifications to it, but I think there was a structure here prior to this mansion. So I think we're looking at two phases of construction. But this arcade, what's left of it, I think is much older than the mansion itself. So I just wanted to point that out. And also within this park, I'm not exactly sure where, but there was another castle, we're told, Libby Castle, and it also was demolished again in 1931. And I think the excuse given for the demolition of a lot of these is to make way for the creation of this park, Fort Tryon Park. So very interesting. Now, if we move to the northern part of this park, there's another structure, the Met Cloisters. And this structure, we're told it was built in the 1930s, but it looks like a medieval castle in New York City. The medieval cloisters moved stone by stone to Manhattan thanks to the infinitely deep pockets of the Rockefellers. And these are just some images from the interior of this structure, the cloisters. So again, Gothic stylings, and here's a more modern picture of it. But to refresh or recap, the building itself was assembled, we're told, from architectural elements of 5 medieval French cloisters dating as far back as the 12th century. So we're told this was all built in the 1930s approximately. but it just so happens to be in this older medieval Gothic style. I think it is dating to that period, just like that Libby Castle, just like the Paterno Castle, and potentially whatever the 190th subway station was originally. I think these all might be from the same time period. And what else I wanted to point out is, with regards to this cloisters, there are some, what we're told are glacial grooves and striations that can be observed along the foundation of the Cloisters Museum. And I'm going to enlarge this image here in the next slide. So someone just placed a hammer for scale, I guess, but you can see some of these striations. And we're told that this structure, the cloisters, this is the foundation, and they kind of built on this, but I'm wondering if this building, the cloisters, actually existed during an event that caused some of these striations. And again, we're told this is from like the last ice age, and it's related to glaciers, but I don't hold that view. And I just want to mention, in this park, again, Fort Tryon Park, it's considered a geological wonder built on this type of geological formation. It features igneous intrusions and glacial striations, as I said, from the last ice age. And I think it was the Olmsted brothers in the 1930s who were told basically helped create this park. And there's some interesting looking steps in, this geological formation. And I think these are those steps in modern day. So really interesting. And in this park, by the way, there are some super old looking structures. And I can't remember if this was a restaurant or a cafe, but looks very old, and a bridge possibly, but definitely, in my opinion, much older. So really intriguing. And in and around this area, Hudson Heights, this area features Tudor Revival architecture. So again, this architecture that we're told is being revived, but maybe it's actually really old. So this Tudor Revival architecture in Hudson Heights, Manhattan, again, very interesting for it to show up in this area. And again, the Tudor period is, we're told, late 1400s to the early 1600s. And I've talked about this period of time, but features many lost palaces of Henry VIII. So I think a lot of these structures are indeed older, are histories fabricated. But like a lot of these old world Tartarian buildings people are looking at, like the Capitol buildings, the courthouses, I think all that came after these structures, the castles, like the cloisters, whenever it was built, Libby Castle, and this subway station, whatever that truly was, in Paterno Castle. I think a lot of these Gothic style castles and structures, I think they came before what we're calling the Tartarian structures, the old world, the Roman styled looking structures with the columns and the domes and all that. But that's my opinion. So I just wanted to point that out here at the end. And I think that's about all I got for you for today. But I do want to give a big shout out to my channel members. Thank you for all your help and support. Greatly appreciated. As well as my patrons. Thank you for all of your help and support as well. It is also greatly appreciated. So with that being said, until next time, take care. Bye.